Hey, what's going on? This is Steve. I guess my family calls me Steven, right? But that's with an EV, spelled correctly. All you PH people out there, I don't know how you do it. That's Steph. That's not Steve. But I'm Steve, and I'm here with my lovely co-host,
Liz.
All right, and this is, Marriage for Grown Folks. Once again, thank you for tuning in. This is a podcast dedicated to all things marriage, or a lot of things marriage.
Right.
I guess we won't touch upon every single thing, but we'll do our best to touch upon things that are relevant to the life of people who care or subscribe to the institution of marriage, right?
Yes.
Right? We're still fighting for it. Fight on, fight on, fight on. We believe in that. So thank you once again for being here. We promise not to take too much of your time. So let's have a little fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Mark, how you doing, man?
Doing wonderful.
All right.
In the studio today.
Hey,
Right?
Yeah. Shout out to the recording studio, Santa Monica. All right. The recording club. Sorry, let me get that right. The recording club, Santa Monica.
Santa Monica.
Yeah, buddy. And as you guys can see, the quality has been upgraded times 10. Look at this thing. Look how amazing.
Beautiful.
Look how beautiful this is. I can see my wife's beautiful face. Our kids aren't running around. We don't got cars zooming by, right, as we normally do during, acceleration, Mark. Remember we
Yes.
talked about acceleration?
Yes.
I'll tell that story later. But there's a story that my father brought to me, the good Dr. Bishop Hodge, who brought the prophecy of acceleration. Anything that I touched and anything that I talked about and consumed and put my heart into would be accelerated. And here we are after a couple of months of recording in our home, building a set every day, right? Building a set every day, the chairs, the set, having to get multiple angles from the phone, and and here we are.
We don't have any more storage.
Right. No storage. That's what I'm telling you, that's what it was like. In the middle of a pod. Storage
Wrap
full.
it up.
Right.
Yeah.
But here we are in this beautiful studio, and I'm so excited, man.
Same.
I think Mark said he felt like a kid going to what do you say, a theme park?
Disneyland.
Like Disneyland?
Can we say that?
Why can't we say Disneyland?
Okay, we can say it. Okay,
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. I feel like a pro.
I'm actually glad you said that, Mark,
Yeah.
because I was already excited, but then when he said it, was like, okay. So it's not just me.
Right,
Okay, I'm
right.
feeling good. And we've been off a couple weeks, so it's nice to get back. LA has been in shambles.
How about that?
And we're rebuilding, and so we've kind of taken a pause as well. So it feels really good to just be getting back on track.
And officially, for those listening and watching, shout out to everyone who took time to call, text, DM, whatever it was that you did for us to check in on us. We appreciate it. It feels good to know that people care sincerely.
Right.
Even though the media outlets kind of did a tacky job of
Hitting replay?
Right. They hit replay on the same spots over and over and over again. Nonetheless, LA County is really, really big, and we are not discounting the damage that's been done to the people who've lost their homes, who've been evacuated, who've lost, tons of their valuables, thousands and millions of dollars worth of, property lost. But nonetheless, we're grateful that we weren't affected, at least not directly.
Yeah.
Right? So there's that.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
this feels nice. Let's get to it.
Let's get
to it.
All right. So we kind of talked about it, but I guess it makes sense to just stay on point, right?
Yeah.
But we just talked about how we're feeling. Gonna do a temp check.
Let's get it.
Let's do it.
Let's do
Okay.
it.
So here's what I'm asking you.
Okay.
I want you to name a sweet. It can be candy. It can be cookies. It can be cake, whatever you want. But name a sweet that describes how you are feeling today.
Oh, I feel fantastic because I felt awful a second ago. If you didn't notice, my energy changed when the HVAC guy came.
Yes.
And actually, it's perfect, actually, HVAC talking about what we're going to talk about, our topic. But the HVAC, we're getting some estimates to get HVAC done in our house. I don't want to give away the entire
Central air in particular. We're looking to get heat.
HVAC, the whole shebang.
Well, HVAC is like, okay.
Yeah, so we're trying to get the whole shebang, trying to get everything locked in from heat to air. But nonetheless, when he came out, and he revealed some of my premonitions, right? I had some premonitions about some of the work that was done.
Name a sweet.
Okay, sorry. Name a sweet.
Okay, name a sweet.
I feel great now. I'm thinking, all right, okay. I'm thinking warm brownie, Mark.
Ooh.
Warm brownie, right?
Ice cream?
Warm brownie with ice cream on the top, and not just regular ice cream.
Oh.
I like vanilla bean ice cream.
Yes,
You know what I mean? A nice dollop.
Yeah.
Boom. Put that microwave in the, put that brownie in the microwave for like 30 seconds. It, gets all, ooh. Then you throw the ice cream and it starts to melt. And if you really want to be gluttonous, you put a little bit of Hershey syrup on top of that.
Ooh.
Let it marinate.
Double the chocolate.
Let it marinate a little bit. Let it marinate a little bit. And you just take your time with it.
Oh.
That's where I'm at.
Okay. Unpopular opinion. I don't like hot brownies, and I don't like ice cream.
You're missing out. You're missing out.
I know.
All right. What about you?
Okay. So my first thought was German chocolate cake.
Okay. It's got coconut in it, right?
It does.
I hate coconuts.
Well, that's why we pick our own sweets.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm feeling good. That's my favorite. That's my favorite cake. So between German chocolate and carrot, those are my favorites. German chocolate is like top tier, but only some people can manage. Cake. Yes, that's my second.
I didn't know German. See, I learned something about you today.
Yes, ask my mother.
Copy that.
She used to make me one every year for my birthday.
Oh, that's good for you. You know what I got every year? Remember I told you?
What?
About these caramel cakes that my mother would make me eat, that my grandmother would make.
It was your grandma or your auntie?
It was my great-grandmother.
Okay.
Would make these caramel cakes, and I'm like, I don't like caramel cakes at all. Please stop doing this every year. No more. I'm really not interested.
No more.
All right, so German chocolate cake. Mark, come on, man.
What you got?
What you thinking? No, it's how you feel.
Yeah.
You want to associate it how you feel today.
Yes.
I feel funfetti cake.
Yeah.
Funfetti cake.
I do like a funfetti. I do.
I don't like funfetti cake, but I do like funfetti donuts from Randy's. Yeah.
Oh, they have that?
Yeah, they do. I just eat it in the car so you don't know that I do it. I don't want you to judge me.
You should try bringing one of those home.
It doesn't make
I want to try it.
All right, we'll do funfetti
Just
together.
get two.
We'll do funfetti together.
Cool. I don't think the kids will like it.
Cool. See, the moment we think they don't like it is the moment they like it, and
That's
then it's
when
not our thing.
they want all of it.
Can't have nothing. God, can't have nothing.
Okay.
That was an awesome temp check.
Yeah.
That was an awesome temp check.
You're welcome.
All right. So another quick segment. All right. We promise not to take too much of your time. We want you guys to know who are watching and listening that we are privy to the world. We do not live under a rock. All right. And we are privy to some of the things that are happening. And if we're not privy, we try our best to kind of, be in the know, so to speak, of some of the pop culture things that are happening. So this segment is called Shoot It Straight. All right. It's basically a flyover, if you will, of some topics kind of swirling around the world. We've got 3 of them that we'll do every single time that we come here, and we'll both get a chance to talk about these topics for about 30 seconds. That way we knock them out and get to what we're going to do. Up to 30 seconds.
Right.
Mark, you got to keep us in line. 30 seconds. But I can't see the 30 seconds. See, we're in a real studio. I can see the clock. I can actually manage the time. This is good. Especially as a basketball guy, you got the ball in your hand. You know what I mean? Last shot, 8, 7, sizing them up. Cross them up. Step A in the lane, kick it out to a guy. I'm lying. I would have never kicked that ball. I was shooting everything.
He was going to shoot it.
I was shooting everything.
That is correct.
Okay. So, shooting it straight. First one. The new administration.
Yes.
Okay? I don't got to say too much about that.
Right.
Miss Elizabeth, would you care to take your 30 seconds and talk about the new administration, the new president, and his regime?
So I don't need 30 seconds.
Okay.
I call it FA, FO.
Right.
And
we'll
here
let
we
y'all
are.
Figure it out. Real talk.
Yeah.
Real talk. Sorry, guys. It is what it is. For me, for those of you who voted that way, shame on you.
Ooh.
For those of you who voted that way and were duped into voting that way, shame on them. Shame on them. Because some people were sincerely duped, played, run amok, led astray. And here we are. right? And unfortunately, whether you left or right, blue or red, here we are, y'all. And let's make the best of it, or let's fight the power.
It's still January.
How about that? So there's that. I'll leave that alone.
Okay.
All right, our next one, something a little more fun. Sure. Not really. Jimmy Butler. I'm a sports guy, specifically basketball.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Butler is with the Miami Heat. He is forcing his way out via trade. And, ma'am, what say you?
So when we were thinking about this idea and talking about him, one of the things that just came up for me was really like, what's the saying? Where there's smoke, there's fire. Yeah, I think that's the saying. And that's kind of how I'm feeling.
Okay.
Right? Like, I recognize that if there's certain claims, there's a reason. And we don't know all the story.
Got it.
And so, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. I ain't Stephen A., Shannon Sharp, or Cam and Mace. I ain't under that. But with my 30 seconds, I will say my perspective is these orgs, these big businesses, these trillion-dollar entities and enterprises generally can control the narrative.
Okay.
And I'm not by any means saying that I agree with the way he's going about doing this. But what I will say is it does appear that he's taking the bulk of the blame. And as you say, as you just said, where there's smoke, there's fire. We don't know the full context or the full story.
Right.
But I do not want to get caught up in let's bash Jimmy and let the org kind of walk away, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
None of our business. It's big business, and this is how it's done. There's been other corporations as well and big business that this stuff happens. It just doesn't happen in public. Right? We just happen to see it on TV.
Correct.
So it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. And finally.
Barack and Michelle.
Barack and Michelle, or Barack and Jennifer, as they're saying.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Which is a bunch of malarkey. I think I left this one because it's kind of fun. And it also leads us into what we're talking about, which is marriage. That's what we believe, and that's what the pod is about.
Correct.
What say you, ma'am?
Okay. So my first thought when you brought this up was, what?
Right.
Never. But I guess it's based on Michelle not showing up for former President Jimmy Carter's funeral, and then not showing up for Trump's inauguration. And so that feels like, oh, they're on the fritz, or there's something like she not standing by her man. And I think it's baseless. Jennifer Aniston was like, I don't know what they talking about here. Y'all gonna keep me out of this mess. And it was just Michelle's birthday. So there was a picture of them looking very lovingly. Not that can't be performative, but look, I'm always rooting for Black love.
Absolutely. Not only
and brown.
Yeah.
I love love. I love
Yeah.
love. So anyway,
I understand. For me, I believe in my heart of hearts that it's a bunch of nonsense made up for tabloids and to get attention, and probably has spiraled out of control. My first instinct was to say, first the fat boys break up. Not every day I wake up. But, either way, I think it's baseless. And, God forbid, that to me is, a foundational, love that I like to look at.
Yeah.
So I pray that there's nothing to that.
Yeah.
I hope it's baseless. And I'm glad that she stood her ground. And for those of you who don't understand how things like that work in leadership, I have never served in that capacity. Please don't get it twisted.
Correct.
I have never served in that capacity. But I do understand why he had to be there. And I also understand why she opted not to be there.
Correct.
Because that's a union. But you can also say two separate things at the same time in a union when there's two people. I thought that was beautiful.
And not have friction between the two of you.
Yep.
I mean,
but also say it's saying something without it's saying something. And because they're a unit, they have one there and one not there. They can say two things. They can be professional while also, exhibiting how they truly feel. And I appreciate that.
Me too.
If you ain't married, you don't know nothing about that.
Right.
Well done, y'all. Well done, y'all. If it was strategic, well done.
I'm sure it was strategic.
Right.
Okay. I'm sure that was more than 30 seconds.
Intentional.
Yeah.
That was over 30 seconds. That's cool. All right. I like that segment. I dig that segment. Well done. I dig that segment. That could work. Yeah, a flyover, right? Yeah.
How you feel about that one, Mark?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Immediate feedback. Right. Yeah, write that down.
Okay.
So let's get into it. So for those of you out there who have, okay, so you get marriage, right? You got a date, you got to have the wedding, and you love each other, and sometimes you have children, and all of these things.
Yeah.
But while you have all of these things going for you, you got to be strong, and there's love, and you got to date, and all of these holidays, and be there for each other, and you make fun of each other, and
Okay.
you got to have somewhere to live, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
You got to have somewhere to live. And who has a better story than the story that we're living regarding purchasing a home? All right? What do they say? The pride of ownership.
oh, yes.
The pride of ownership. And it is one heck of a journey. And it feels like it's been an ongoing, the Odyssey for us, right? The Iliad. Which one's longer, the Iliad or the Odyssey?
I think they're the...
Are they the same? If they're the same, I feel awful.
No.
The Iliad and the Odyssey are definitely two different books. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying
Either
to think
way,
which one is longer.
I remember these things being this thick growing up.
I was an English major. Yeah.
How
I
about
had to
that?
read both of them.
I had
But
to
I
read
don't
both of
remember.
them, too.
All
I
of it is
read
a
none of it.
blur.
None of it. Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's been a very long journey for us. So we want to dig into that. And inside of this journey, we've got a host of, we won't spare you any details of some of these things. And also, we want to share some information and hopefully we help some of you people, some of you young couples out there who are, engaged in this idea of trying to purchase, right?
Sure.
So off we go.
Okay. Cool.
When we last powwowed about this, we had to take ourselves back to day one, right? Like, okay, we always knew we wanted to own. As a matter of fact, we owned previously in Connecticut before we made the trek over, the change over to
California.
LA. We had a small condo. Shout out to West Hartford. You know what I mean? So we did that first, 80,000. We thought we was doing something big, right? If we could do it all over again, we would have just rented. Saved some money, right? Okay, so we make the trek to LA. We're rolling. We
I
got
think
kids.
that part is important, though.
Yeah, it's
that
important.
you mentioned, because that was part of, I think, the intimidation. Because we made that first purchase and it was what, $87,000 or whatever it was.
Even though it's predatory, but yes.
It was predatory, right? So there's that. But then now fast forward, what was it? 20 years?
Okay.
No, not 20. That's wrong.
15.
13.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
All
like
right.
13 years or whatever it is. And then we're moving into this space. Or sorry, we were already living in the space.
Right.
We have the potential to acquire this home.
We realized we needed some more space. Our kids were maturing.
Yep.
Yep.
I had a
Yep.
2-year-old.
2-year-old and a daughter who was her pubescent.
11.
Yeah, pubescent. And we realized they needed their own space because they were
Right.
sharing a room.
Right.
Right. And just flat out storage alone. We just needed a little more,
Room.
room, maybe another bathroom. Right.
Yeah.
So we set our hearts on purchasing. Right. And then we were blessed enough. Oh, wow, that sounds terrible. I got to be careful how I word this.
Right.
Our landlord passed away circa 2020 as
Right.
COVID was just taking off. He passed. And we found out that we were in his trust when we thought we were left in his will. Right? I thought we were in his will. He mentioned it, but we got a chance to learn about wills and trust.
Correct.
Right?
There's a difference.
There's a difference. That trust is ironclad. That will leaves a little room for interpretation.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we had an opportunity to purchase this home in LA. And if you guys know about LA and
The
trying
housing
to purchase,
market.
woo,
Craziness.
crazy. But nonetheless, we got it done, and that's cool. But we're going to take you guys through some of the stuff. So, we realized we needed more space, and then we had to go into it. You can take it from here, ma'am.
What am I talking about? I'm sorry.
Purchasing a house.
So what specifically?
Well, how do we go about it? We had to trust. We had a certain amount
Oh, you
of
mean
time.
like the steps we had to take?
Absolutely.
Okay, so basically we were prepping we were already prepping to move, whether we were going to purchase the home that we were living in or we were going to find a home. We already knew that we needed to make some changes. And so in that time, we did a whole revamp.
Okay.
Credit credit was like, okay, we got to get serious about this. You figure out what it is that they say we owe and all of that other
we got a realtor
stuff.
first. We had to get a realtor. Right, remember you got a realtor?
We started doing that before we got the realtor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we started doing that stuff because, we were in the pandemic, and so nobody was doing anything but, like, eating, right?
Yeah,
I was exercising and eating, but
we
were eating, right? But we weren't really doing a whole lot else. So everybody was like, oh, my gosh, like, I'm saving all this money. And, or at least in our circle.
Okay.
And so we were saving money and just kind of organizing because everything kind of just reset for us, right? It was just like this chill moment. And so anyway, we do that. And so then I think before that, he had mentioned something to you, like.
No, he only mentioned that we could make some additional, we can do some add-ons if we wanted to, pay for it, and then he would basically return that favor in
like
rent,
deduct from
the rent. And of course, once again, I remember it a little different.
Okay, go for it.
So although we might have been saving, I remember taking the actual steps once we got the opportunity to purchase, or what is it called? Let's give the real stuff. It's called right of first refusal. So in the trust, we were left as the right of first refusal at a certain price. Right. And they would add an additional 2% every amount of months or something.
Every year
that we, didn't move or act.
After he had passed.
Yep. After he passed. And if after that, they would eventually, they would offer it to someone else.
Right.
So, we were grateful to have that.
So we had this grace period.
Yep, this
basically.
grace period.
Okay.
But we knew we had to move.
Yes.
So to me, that's when it activated now. Okay.
Okay.
What are the proper steps? So we go and get Ben. Shout out to Ben Bridges. We need a realtor. Holla at my guy, Ben Bridges. He knows what he's doing. He's on point. That's my guy.
Yeah, send
he's
us an
also a
email.
Buffalo Bills fan.
We'll connect you.
Go Mafia. All right. And then from there, the process began.
Yeah.
All right. So that's when they started talking about get your credit right. You got to get your credit right. Let's find you a program. Let's get you guys, first homeowner. You have to have this amount of money saved up. So we were like, cool, let's get started.
Right.
And that's when the credit part started. And that beat us up too, because they were just in our business all the time.
Well, okay. Yes, they were in our business. I think that was probably one of the most daunting parts of this, because it was like, if you are a person of color, right? The last thing you want is for people to be scrutinizing how you spend your money. And so they're
always in my business.
Always in my business.
In my business.
Yes. Baby mama.
Baby mama. That's a baby mama reference.
Anyway, yeah. And so there was a lot of scrutiny, and it was like, hey, we need your numbers to be here. I need it by like 30 days. And we're like, wait. How? How are we supposed to do that? And so then they're like, call the credit repair people and do this. And so you had it felt like it was a lot of people, not really our realtor. He was just kind of walking us through the things. But then he had paired us with like his money person.
Right.
And then that branched off into somebody else being a money person. Needless to say, it was a lot of like banging back and forth, a lot of noise, a lot of frustration, a lot of not just headache, but a lot of directives.
Yeah.
And we're kind of rebellious in spirit. So we were both kind of like, not really feeling all of this. And
I can do this on my own.
Yeah,
I can do this. And we were proactive in it. I think there's nothing wrong with that. You get your help, you find the assistance, but, do your research so you know.
Yeah.
So you know.
Okay.
And, I definitely applaud you in that regard, because your guy Ramsey, she's a big Ramsey fan.
Oh, yes.
So, she's a big, Ramsey fan. So she kind of already knew what we needed to do to get on point regarding credit.
Yes.
So we started that journey. I had to pick up a credit card or two, remember, to do that.
Yes.
So we immediately jumped into that.
We ended up having to like apply for all of these because we didn't have a lot. We didn't have a lot of credit just in general.
I had Ghost Credit.
Well, yeah.
I had Ghost Credit. For those of you who don't know what Ghost Credit is, that's for people who really don't have credit cards like that. I called myself being a professional basketball player from 2003 until 2010, so I never had a credit card. You know what I mean? So I'm just out here, operating in the Ghost Credit world.
Oh, no.
Right?
Okay.
So there's the credit part. We had to go through that. And then you have to come up with the percentage, whatever the percentage is, once you find a loan program, right?
So you get a lender, and then you get a lender, and then they try to pair you with whatever is going to be best for your home, right? But you also have to have like the income requirements. You have to have a certain amount saved for the down payment. You have to be able to like show where your money has come from
over a
span of time.
Right.
So if you have like any gifts of any sort, like a deposit for, I don't know, $15K or whatever, they're like, where did that come from?
Right. You can't just have a family friend just drop you $125K.
No, it has to be, everything has to be like documented. It has to, in some, like there has to be a way to trail. Have a paper trail, because basically what they're trying to determine is whether or not you're creditworthy, and
you're gonna pay them back.
Yes, they want to be able to fulfill. Will you fulfill the length of the loan? And it's a much bigger purchase than a car. So, so it's a little more involved, but like emphasis on scrutiny.
Yeah.
Long and short.
Detailed scrutiny. Deep dives, and over again. Somebody asking for your credit, for your Social Security, and then they're diving into it, and it's like it feels unnatural, right?
That's a lot of gut punches for people who have some insecurities. Because remember, we really hadn't ever been in a position to save like that. When we were younger, we weren't saving, you know. And then as we're trying to be like for real adults in this space, we're just like, have to have how much saved?
How much saved?
And yeah. So long and short, a lot of scrutiny, a lot of power players, and we experienced a lot of disappointment. We ended up getting the house, which is beautiful, but it did come with a lot of headache. And at one point, we found that they were going to stretch and try to do whatever they could to get what we called
hard money loan.
Hard money loan, and that was because the house that we live in has a back unit, and because it's a back unit, it's considered
two houses, basically.
2 units, like a duplex, even though they're not attached. And because of that, it can be considered investment property.
Right.
And so because it can be considered investment property, we could go this route, because what was happening was the bank that we were connected with was not seeing us as qualified for the home. The home had too much value for what they felt we were worth. And what we found, and I'm saying it that way because we found out, that we had been redlined. And
say that again.
Yeah. So we found out we were being redlined, even with a trust that was backing us, that was saying, hey, you have the first to this. So but we're in a neighborhood.
And we have to tell them how we found out. The executor, pardon me.
Go for it.
The executor, we know the executor, and he was working on our behalf as he recognized that the seller, our landlord, he wanted us to have this property.
He did.
Right? So he, alongside of the attorney, they both were like, something's not right, because we see everything that you guys are doing, not our credit, but they see our credit history and what we're doing to try to secure. Right. So they both recognized that. And when he brought that to me, that brought us into a whole nother world. So that's a part of it as well. So all of you people out there that think that this redlining thing is just unreal, on documentaries and unreal and only happened in the past, lies. Nope. It's very real, and we dealt with it.
2022.
Now, 2022, we dealt with
2022, that was our experience. Yep. And when the executor was like, I feel like y'all are being redlined, we didn't want to say it. Remember, we were the ones that we were just like, okay, it feels like we're being targeted, not really sure what's happening here. Because by that point, not going to give numbers or anything like that, but we had enough, close to we had more than the 20% that we needed to put down for 2 homes, because if you consider to have like investment property, you've got to have 20% down.
Right.
And we had more than that. And so I'm going, how is it we have 20% for a down payment? Well, once that 20% is gone, one of the people said, once that 20% is gone, then how will you be able to pay your mortgage? Excuse me?
Pardon me?
Wait a second.
We have enough.
We're working.
You're working, and we have enough to put more than the down payment. So if all else failed and everything got really crazy, we'd actually be good for about like 3 or 4 years, ma'am. Sir,
so it was
right.
So yeah, so there was a lot of things that just had us kind of scratching our head to the point that we were finally just like, it's not for us, and that's okay.
That happened.
Surrender.
Do you mind?
No, go for it.
This lovely lady and I, after fighting the good fight, having our credit scrutinized, coming up with the money, having logistics in our mind with what we wanted to do, we were willing to do it. Right? We're willing to stretch ourselves because we recognize the value in having a home.
Yep.
And in our situation, almost 2 homes, right?
Correct.
It is 2 homes, right? So in a premier part of the city. So we were like, this could yield dividends for us, not just now, but long term. So let's go ahead for it. Thinking about our babies.
Right.
You know what I mean? We ain't gonna be here forever.
Right.
So we were just like, bang, let's go for it. Let's get it done. And then it felt like the ceiling, like the floor just kept dropping, if you will.
Yep.
Just kept dropping out.
Here's the closing date.
Yeah. And there's an
there's
an emotional piece to this that we're going through. And we're exchanging this while also trying to live life and be parents and leaders and all of these things that we're doing. And it's rough. So finally, I came home. We had a text exchange, and I could feel her energy, and she could feel mine. And finally, we sat down, and I was like, you know what? We're doing all right for ourselves. If this ain't meant to be, maybe it just ain't meant to be. We'll live out our time here until we can't be here anymore, and then, let them, whoever takes over and buys, I'm sure they're going to try to raise rent, blah, blah, blah. We'll be gone. Let's find ourselves something comfortable, something a little plush. Maybe we leave the city and we have our rec room. And
we were headed to the beach, y'all.
Yeah, straight up.
We were going to get us a luxury apartment.
Straight up. In a deluxe apartment in the sky. Like, serious. We really,
for real.
We really meant that. And just as we let go, or let go and let God.
There was tears.
Serious, man.
There was
we
tears.
hugged each other. We embraced, and we were like, man, we fought the good fight. It just is what it is.
Memories are huge, right? They have such a huge impact. But we had been living in that home for 7 years already, which is okay. That's fine, right? 7 years. But we brought our baby home.
Yeah.
We brought our guy home, and it had felt like home. For the first time in LA that we were living here. Like, that finally felt like home. And so it was really tough to be like, okay, maybe this isn't it.
Right.
We loved our neighbor. I mean, all of the things. So
we knew some of our neighbors' dogs' names and seeing some of their kids start to grow and seeing people move in. Had people that were starting to trying to buy other property, and we were rooting for them.
Right.
We're rooting for you guys.
Yeah.
Rooting for you guys.
Right.
I get it.
It was adulting, like, on a whole new level.
Yeah.
It really was. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
And then just like that, my wife, who always comes through, she says, you know what? I've got an educational background. There's got to be maybe a program or 2 or 10 out there that might accommodate us with this. Now, mind you, she had walked away from education.
Kind of,
right?
Sort of. Yeah.
So she's like, well, I don't know if I'll still be in the system, I'd still qualify.
Right.
Am I right? She made a call, and I'm talking about that thing happened fast.
We closed in 45 days.
45 days, just like that. So we went from saying we're all set to closing 45 days later. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, right? So, woo-sa.
Yep.
So if you're listening or you're watching and you felt that you took that ride with us, it gets better. Ordered another round. It's about to go down. So we close. We close.
On a third of what we had saved, because when you do a program with one of those, like, it was a HUD or not a HUD. It was an FHA. It was an FHA. So first homeowners.
Say it again, FHA.
So it was an FHA loan. And so because of it, we didn't end up having to put down the 20%.
Right.
Which was beautiful.
Right.
Because now we have this back unit and a front unit.
Yep.
And both of them need help.
You know what that means?
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching, money. So so there's that part. So we got the house, but no, it doesn't stop there. We've got to renovate one and remodel the other. I learned during this process that remodeling and renovation are not the same. I'll say it again. Remodeling and renovation are not the same.
They're not.
Okay? Renovation, clearly defined. It's just doing something small. You hire contractors, they're just doing some small things, and they do it in a quick time, in a timely fashion, timely manner.
Yep.
All right? A remodel means you're adding something to the structure of a building or a property. We did a renovation on the back house and then did a remodel in the front.
Right.
And while we did the remodel in the front, we lived
in the
back for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Right? Now, also, I'll let her take it from here.
Oh, no.
We didn't get financing. We cash flowed this
it.
sucker.
So they said we didn't have enough to buy this house. And then what did we do? We cash flowed. So we renovated a back unit and then we remodeled a front.
$15K. 20, right? Was it 20?
What are you talking about?
For the renovation?
It was 45.
Oh, my bad.
Okay. I'm like
It was
15.
quoted 15.
No.
It wasn't quoted 15?
It was quoted 45.
Okay.
Yeah. So the renovation. So the owner had been there forever and ever and ever. He was semi-hoarder-ish. No disrespect to you. But it was a whole lot going on in there and a whole lot that hadn't changed in a really long time. And we had never even seen the back. We just knew
I used to give my...
we gonna make some money off of this. So we've got to do what we need to do. So anyway, so we get back there.
Can I give some details?
Go for it.
Old school rug. Thick, nasty, smelly rug back there.
Nasty.
Everywhere.
It was a shag carpet.
Yeah, like ill. Like you don't even know what the original color was, but it finished at a
Pea green
/ cranberry.
pea soup.
Ugh.
Yellow wallpaper.
Yeah, buddy.
Used to have fruit on it.
Yeah.
Not anymore. It was horrible back there. It was horrible.
So we found in the refrigerator as the executor was trying to get things out. Remember that process of the executor getting things out so we can get started? That was a process that my wife had to push along because our executor, who will remain nameless, all right, we love him too.
We do.
We love him, but he was moving at a snail pace, to say the least, while we were trying to get this thing cleared out. And we're like, man, if you need to hire some help, please hire some help because this is going to take you a while and we want to get this done.
Yes.
Or get started at least.
Right.
We found, about a pound of old weed in the refrigerator.
I thought it was more than that.
Yeah,
but
probably
okay.
more than that.
Okay.
We found we found a cool little painting. That was pretty cool little painting, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The executor made sure to take that, the estate.
Yeah.
Mandated that he have that.
Okay.
Some old school recording gear, records, all these cool little doohickeys.
He did have a lot of fun things in the midst of his mess.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
We found some guns, a couple of guns back there. Would you like to tell the story, man?
Tell the story.
It's fun.
They don't
guys.
need to know the story. I'm kidding. Go ahead. You can tell the story.
This is a real thing, man. So we're back there doing what we got to do with us and the executor, just kind of talking while also planning on how to get this stuff out.
Yep.
I had found one gun, turned it over to the guy. And then there was another gun that we found in
one of the closets, I think
one of the
it was,
closets.
right?
Right. So my man was back there protecting himself. Like, you come back here, you're going to find out what it is. If you get past the dog, you get past the door, you get to me, night-night. Night-night.
Mm-hmm.
So, not a 12 gauge, but, two-barrel, shotgun.
Got it.
To say the least. The executor, who is an ex-war veteran, knows how to handle these things, right? He's been there, done that. So he says. My wife and I are standing right next to each other, having a basic conversation. Boom! This sucker goes off. Boom! Mark, I'm trying to tell you, we're having a regular conversation. Boom! There's a moonroof. Skylight, old school.
In our kitchen. In the kitchen.
You can see that thing pop straight through. Boom. You see the clip hit the floor. Boom. It's still spinning and smoking. My beautiful wife's eyes were like this. My face is like this.
He was stoic.
And my man had pooped his pants. I could smell it.
We said we
I
weren't
could
gonna
smell
say
it.
that.
I could smell it. And if he didn't poop his pants, he released. He had to release something. If it wasn't poop, he some flatulence, if you will. So here I am having to negotiate, but I want to be the person who lightens the light.
What did I do? I was Viola. Grabbed and I left.
And she was gone.
I'm done. I was so done.
He was just like, boom. I didn't know it was live. I'm like, fam, you got to be kidding me. Can't make this stuff up. Nonetheless, that really happened. That was a part of the journey. We got that thing cleared and got to work. So we stayed in our home in the front while we did the renovation. The contractor was a suggestion / referral from a friend of ours, right? And I can't say they did a bad job on there. They didn't. They didn't do a bad job, and they were quick.
Yes.
They were fairly quick.
So they quoted us 3 months, and they took about 2.5. Perfect.
Can't go wrong.
They stayed within the costs, or the estimate. So the estimate was $45K. It was about $45K. He asked us for it in increments. We gave it to him pretty much like between every 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, they showed up and showed out.
It was fine.
I'm not going to fight you on that.
We had no issues. So with that, we thought, a remodel, same thing.
Boom.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Second verse, same as the first?
Second verse, not same as the first.
No.
No. This was nothing short of a disaster. All right, I'll do my best to keep it short and sweet, and she'll take some of these as well because it was like we said,
trauma.
A journey which created trauma. Not drama, but trauma. Drama is when something happens to you, you process it, and it could be wild. Trauma is when something happens to you and it changes you. It makes some edits. You have to do real active work to recover.
Yeah.
Right?
That was a good definition.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right? So first things first, we figured, hey, man, you just showed and proved, right? Could you do this? No problem, man. That's what he said. No problem. It'll take me X amount of months and we'll be out of your hair. You guys will be back up here living with your family, happy, warm, and cozy. Mm-hmm. Lies. Lies. All lies. We get started and things seem cool. My wife becomes the
project manager,
as she should be, right? It's her vision, all right? And we know where we're going with it. I still have to work. Kids got to go to school, but she is there handling her business like a G, right? One of the stories would be, we want to start with the vacating of the premises. Can I do that one first?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, we didn't know because this is our first journey. You know, we were wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac, a little green.
And we had such a good experience.
Right.
So we got to name that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're right. Mm-hmm. So we figured we could trust. Mm-hmm. Projects going along. Feels like we're building some steam. You're right. All these things are happening. You know, we're checking in, excited. And then all of a sudden, things just stop.
Can I just give a little bit of context? So we were doing a remodel. So again, when you're doing a remodel, that means you're changing the plan, the floor plan of the unit. And so that could mean that you're making the unit bigger or we were adding
2 bathrooms,
we were going to add, we needed 2 bathrooms.
Right.
And then we needed another bedroom because we have a boy and a girl. So everybody needs their own space. So we needed another bedroom. Initially, the house had been a 2-1, so 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. So, so they had reformatted that, and because of it, walls had to come down, and other walls had to go up, and they had to get creative about how they were going to create the space.
This is perfect context. This is good context to let you guys know who are going to experience this and do this. This is good context. So there's a lot of work to be done.
Yes. In theory, you think, oh, not too difficult. Not easy.
We were green.
Not easy, but not horribly tough. It's just a wall down and this up and, whatever. And so they came up with some plans, gave us some plans, and then the plans, I mean, in hindsight, were okay.
Okay.
They were just okay. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so a ton of stuff happened. As you guys can tell, we're really attached to this, and actually just kind of getting over that hump because we still got a few more things to get done, as we talked about the HVAC in the beginning.
Okay.
But they're doing what they need to do, and we hit a couple of hiccups, to say the least. It is what it is, man. It happened. They just stopped showing up. They started, or better yet, the top guy started showing up less frequently.
Yes.
And leaving his team there.
Yes.
So much so that we started to learn them and started having like conversations and like
with the team.
Mm-hmm. Only to find out that he was doing other projects.
Yeah, it was doing
and there's
other
nothing
jobs.
wrong with that. You know,
Right.
he's a businessman.
Right.
But ours slowed down drastically. Tremendously.
It halted.
Right. So much so that he had a young boy there that was just sweeping. He might have been sweeping them floors for, am I saying 2 weeks? Am I exaggerating?
No.
He was coming and showing up from 8 in the morning till about 4 or 5, just sweeping. And that's when we knew something's wrong.
They was with some
you,
BS.
For those of you who are going about this, we just learned about contracting. We knew we hadn't heard the stories about contracting and how treacherous the terrain is.
Yes.
Right? So we ran through 3, actually 2.5. Right? But how about this? He leaves out. We have to address it and have to fire him, right? To fire him. He gives us the old story about going back to Mexico. He got to go to a funeral and a wedding and a christening.
While he's on vacation.
While he's on vacation.
So can we give him $15,000?
Yeah, let me get $15,000.
Because he need a re-up now.
Let me get $15,000, right? Let me get 15 stacks, and then I got to take off and go to this funeral / whatever it was.
So I'll be gone for 2 weeks.
But I'm gonna leave some guys here.
He's gonna leave some guys here, but here's the thing: 2 weeks, United States weeks, or Mexico weeks, because it's different, and we learned that in this process.
Real talk, real rap.
Yes.
No lies.
Because in U.S., 2 weeks means 5 to 10 business days.
And we learned that a New York minute and a Mexican minute and a Mexican week are all different.
They're all different.
Yeah.
He was gone for 3.5 almost. He was gone for almost a month.
Real talk.
Okay.
So he returns, right? We know we got to make a move at this point. So I got to fire him. I do that, and he didn't even fight me. Mark, he doesn't fight me. You know why he didn't fight me? Because he knew that he hit a hiccup. He told us he can do something that he can't do. If you're a man out there and someone asks you if you can do something and you can't do it, just say you can't do it. Lord.
Or don't say you can't do it, but if you're in this business, then find somebody who can.
Nah, he wasn't turning down no money. He wasn't turning down no money.
And make it work.
He wasn't trying to turn down no money.
Anywho,
yep, he shows back up, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, big smile on his face. He's got a bottle of tequila for my wife.
For me.
That's a gift from Mexico. He doesn't know that my wife has some trauma. You know what I mean, dealing with men and in these little stupid games that are being played, some paternal stuff. All right? That's her business, her story. Maybe on her podcast in a few years she'll tell that story. But nonetheless, as a husband, I got to protect her. So I'm like, yo, hey fam, what you not gonna do is show up with a bottle of alcohol and try to like smooze my wife. We not doing that. I'm gonna need you to get your stuff and get out of here. And if you can't have your things out of here within 24 hours, I will sell these things. Stop playing with me. Right?
Because at that point.
Stop playing with me.
Right.
Yo, quit playing with me. I'm a man first, right?
Right.
So stop playing with me. Get your stuff, get your guys, get out of here, and don't ask me for another penny.
Right.
He leaves, Mark. I can't make this up, dog. He leaves. We find I knew there was something up because they never even got a porta potty. We should have knew something was up. They never rented a porta potty. This is real talk. Where the pee and poop going, bro? Where the pee and poop going? You got 7, 8 people here. Y'all drinking Tecates and eating these tacos. Real talk. I'm not going in on nobody's ethnicity or food.
I like tacos.
I like tacos too. But yo, where the pee and poop going? Why didn't I think about this before? Yo, they was putting pee and poop in a bucket, bro, and then had it under the floor. They were had
putting
it under the floor, man.
Not a bucket. It was they were putting it in like
Nasty,
gallon
filthy,
water bottles.
nasty.
Yes.
That happened, bro.
So when we hired a new team,
They found it.
And they're like, hey,
Look at this.
look at this, all underneath your house.
It was bottles of beer.
Old recycled cans. Well, not recycled, but they were just tossing in cans.
Fam.
So they're drinking and whatever.
On to the next one. So,
Yes.
so there's that. On to the next one.
So we get another team. But I just want to say that but at this point, we've already made 3 lump sum payments, and have not really gotten anywhere.
Matter of fact, before we move on to the next contractor, my man ordered an not industrial size, but like a legitimate kitchen, top and bottom.
We bought cabinets.
We bought cabinets, top and bottom. This dude put the top where the bottom was supposed to go and the bottom where the top.
No. He did tops.
Yep.
And he put tops at the bottom.
Oh, so he put tops.
He did double tops.
Fam.
So the new contracting team comes in and they go,
what?
What's that? And we're like, that's a kitchen cabinet. Doesn't look great.
Like,
and he's
nah,
like,
bro.
no, those are tops and those are tops. Bottoms go on the bottoms. We can't take this job. We can't take this job unless we pull all of those cabinets out. He's like, I'm not putting my name on this. So we had to, cabinets we had paid for, we had to have them removed, and we had to reorder cabinets. And if you know anything about the remodeling process, kitchens and bathrooms bring the most value.
Yep. So they run you the most money.
They run you the most money, but what's most expensive is what? Cabinets. Ta-da.
My divorce. So it's a brown sugar reference, y'all.
Yes. So anyway, long and short of that is we ended up having to purchase a whole new set of cabinets all over again. And cabinets are not cheap.
Boom.
An expensive set, $20,000.
With a straight face. Mm-hmm. And we don't
I'm
have
not
a bank.
exaggerating.
Yeah, we don't have a bank giving us a loan. We're paying for this out of
We're cash
pocket.
flowing this.
And my beautiful wife, during all of this, the renovation and the remodel, has to be the project manager by day, mom by night, wife by late night. You know what I mean? But while all of this stuff is happening, just imagine her saying, I got to take care of my family and my husband, who's an owner of a company at the time, also a head coach. You know what I mean? All of these things happening. When I walk in the house, she has to rub my shoulders and say, I need 10,000. I need 8,000 this time, babe. I need 15,000 this time, babe. I need 2,500 this time. As a matter of fact, babe, just 800 and they'll be done. And just, you know what? Then they said, and then finally, I said, I got to have some input here. So, contractor number 2. Here comes contractor number 2. Team 2. And we'll sum this up a little faster because there's some crazier stuff happening with this. It gets crazier, I'm telling you. We think these people are more personable, but now we're kind of tight. You know what I mean? They can feel it because we're tight. We asking a lot of questions. You know, I'm having to tell my wife, yo, chill, you talking crazy to these grown men. Yo, chill, you talking crazy to these grown men. I'm not around during the day. You know what I mean? I got my kids here. They know where we live. Hey, babe, just chill. You talking crazy to these grown men. So the gentleman who is the leader, per se, and he's the leader. He's the spokesperson. And then you have the person who runs the team. These dudes...
The foreman, I believe.
...were clashing.
In our front lawn.
They were clashing. You could hear them going off on each other eventually. You doing this? Mr. Steve, Miss Liz. And then eventually they both said, we had enough. And now they weren't even hiding the fact that they had real beef. So I told my wife, yo.
Go to the back.
Go to the back. Let me handle this. Hey, fam, let's have this conversation. I know my cousin Drew out there laughing. He know when I mean it. Hey, fam. Mm-hmm. Right? So shout out Drew.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, we got to figure this out.
Right.
And then they start taking us down this road of, all right, let's write it out. So we got 125 little tiny contracts written out.
Just a ghetto
and I'm like,
mess.
this is some nonsense. This person declare that I will only charge you this, and this. But every time it was another price. Every time it was another price. Every single time it was another price. So eventually my wife and I said, yo, one of y'all got to go. How about that? We officially realized that this is our responsibility alone. And although you're here to help, one of y'all got to go. Or we got to hire contractor number 3 and deal with that.
We didn't want to do that.
We didn't want to do that. And, we're dealing with us now. People of color, some brown, some black folks. So we don't want to do that. So we opted to get rid of what we thought was the problem, or at least the bigger problem. So we got rid of one of them, right? And we decided to go with the person who could do the job, who could get the team together and help us, mitigate some of these, the cost, right? And
problem with that.
The problem with that is they were gangster. And I'm not saying that with an ER. They was gangsters. So they realized this is their job. So, we would haggle on price, but they find a way to get it done. My wife and I appreciated that. But also, they would also fire on site. So we've seen homeboy fire 2 or 3 times. Like, yo, this ain't working. You got to go. My wife is like, well, wait, hold on. He about to do
working in the bathroom.
He about to do the bathroom, bro. Like, don't fire him. Like, wait till it's Friday. You're not gonna find nobody on the weekend. Wait till next Wednesday to fire this dude.
We want to be done.
Like, we want to be done. Nah. I'm riding with y'all. I gotta take care of y'all. He was like a bulldog for us. I'm taking care of y'all, and this ain't supposed to be the cost. This is what it's gonna be. Eventually, it got real gangster, and I meant that. I said that on purpose. I just found out last week. I'll let you tell that part. What I seen, all right? One of the people that he fired showed up at our property, at our home. I happened to be there at the time, talking to the contractor. My contractor is in the middle of a conversation with me. Hey, so on and so forth. Right, we talking about this. I'm going to go to Lumber Liquidators. Hold on. I say, what's going on? He walks out the door. I'm walking behind him. He hits his trunk. Mr. Steve, I'm going to need you to stand right here. I'm like, yo, what's happening?
Yeah.
Somebody he had fired a couple of weeks ago pulled up to pick up something.
No, they came and picked up. It
don't matter what they came to pick up. But my man was like, yo,
cabinet.
It was a cabinet. So what? But it don't matter. My man was like, yo, you're not supposed to be on my property. So I'm looking down at this .45 caliber. All right, I'm like, yo, I done seen more hammers, more guns, and more blickities in the past 85 days than I have in my life, right? So my man is locked and loaded. I'm looking at him, he looking at me, but he looking at the other guy. And I'm looking at the other guy like, I'm going to need you to walk away. And by the way, I got neighbors. We had a really good neighborhood.
It was during the day.
Broad daylight. Mr. Steve, yo, when I tell you my man put his car in reverse and took off, my man put the blickety down and went right back to talking. So, Mr. Steve, let me tell you, so we're going to go to Lumber Liquidators, and I was like, oh, this is wild. This is wild. Now, your story, ma'am, it gets better.
So that happened. Stephen only kind of told me about it, so I kind of heard about it after the fact. Fine. Well, we get ready to, because now we're at the tail end of things. So counters are going down. And I wanted granite countertops. So,
Foofy.
I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well, right? So we go to look at some granite countertops. And again, we're cash flowing everything. So we were like, okay, we need to figure out cost effective, whatever. Fine. So we do. End up linking up with this guy that the head guy had. Well, he tries to not show up. But he asks for a deposit. So say it's a Friday. He asked for the deposit. I gave him the deposit. He only wanted it in cash. The next day, he doesn't show up to lay the counter. But we've signed contract. We have all of that. Well, that afternoon, so again, it was like a Friday. So
I wasn't around for this.
No. He, because we had his license, our head guy shows up at his house. I didn't know about any of this, but he shows up at his house and he must have threatened him. He wasn't answering. He wasn't, whatever was happening. So the next day, now it's a Saturday. They don't typically work on Saturday, but he was going to get my counters done. My guy was going to get our stuff done. So he's like, I know you don't really have the money for it, such and such, what have you. So what we're going to do is we are going to have him bring back the deposit, and then we're going to just deal with somebody completely different.
Yeah, she said that. We're going to have him bring back the deposit.
Yep. Because we're not having him do it. He already, and I didn't make that decision. The foreman made the decision, right? So he comes back. The guy ends up coming back. He calls me. And he's like, I'm coming back with your money. And I was like, well, what happened? You know, I'm trying to find out what happened. Like, what's going on? And so he was like, I had an emergency. You know, it's always an emergency. I had an emergency. I wasn't able to do it. But your guy, like, he threatened me. And
GANGSTA.
So he threatened me. And so I have to bring your money back. And I said, yes, you do need to bring my money back. You didn't do what you needed to do. Okay, fine. So I think I'm being big and bad. No. I sit on our steps. I wait for the guy to show up. He pulls up. He's like, I'm not talking to him. That's the foreman. I'm not talking to him. My foreman is behind me. He's got the 45 that Stephen was just talking about. He done pulled this out the back pocket. I'm sitting on the porch, okay? So he pulls it out, and I'm like, wait a second, because I'm there. He's behind me, so I couldn't see him right away. So he's there, but his son is there, too. The foreman's son is there.
They had him blocked in.
He's a junior.
Had him blocked in.
He goes, once the guy pulls up, he goes to his car, his dad's car, but he pulls out a shotgun. I'm not kidding. A shotgun. Walks up. Stands on the porch. He's like, we got this, Miss Liz. You don't worry. He ain't never going to steal from you again. That's the same. That's the same energy.
Did he tell him to count it?
Yes. So he made him. Yes. Sorry. So So then he's like, tell him to count it out. But tell him. I was like, okay. Like, okay. Because in my head, like, don't shoot me. Like, so he counts out the money. And the guy says to me, the one that was supposed to do the work, he's like, you know, I would deal with you. They don't even let him finish the sentence. She got her money. Get out of here.
If you don't get out of here with that.
Get out of here. So he just turns around and there's that.
Listen, they bulldog for us. That's a real story. These are real stories.
This
for
really
contractors.
happened.
This really happened. Now, we're gonna spare you guys because we gotta wrap this up. But this stuff really happened en route to trying to finish our home. Right? We not selling dope. You know what I mean? We selling hope. We just trying to purchase our home and take care of our kids and enjoy the spoils of the work that we've put in.
Right.
Right? Trying to get through this. This contractor game is gruesome. It's spooky. It's nasty. And we watched it. But nonetheless,
yep.
Shout out Kendrick. Mm-hmm. But we got through it. And even as we inched toward the finish line, our guy, I think he did the best he could with what he had.
Yes.
And we were officially out of money. You know what I mean? I told my wife at one point, it got to a point where like, hey, like, I got to make a decision between.
We didn't have a bathroom sink.
We didn't have a bathroom sink.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, we didn't have a bathroom sink. And I'm telling her, look, are we eating this weekend or are we having a sink? Something tells me that eating is more important than this sink. It's going to have to wait. My man was able to work with us and get some stuff done. We got the smallest sink on earth, right? We are in the Guinness World Book of Records for the smallest sink. But if you see our sink, you know why. It's functional, it works, and we got to the finish line. Ish.
Yeah.
Here we are after all of that. So from go backwards. So from the unfortunate passing of our landlord, leaving us the opportunity to purchase the right of first refusal at a price, oh my Lord, if you break it down, we bought 2 homes.
Yes.
I won't say the price, but in LA,
way under market value.
We're way under market value.
Mm-hmm.
You can't find you can't find no property out here. Mm-hmm. So from going through that, we were able to clean our credit up.
Yep.
We were able to pay off cars. We were able to set some things in motion, regarding, purchasing the home, and, within 2 years we'll have equity that we can take this money out and go do something else that's big. Mm-hmm. God forbid, in the event of our unlikely demise, God forbid, our kids are all set with something. They have somewhere to live, or they can have something to sell.
Yes.
And in this country, ownership is everything.
Right.
It was a trauma moment filled with a lot of drama. If you ever do it, good luck with the contractors. It don't even matter if you know them. or somebody refers you to them.
It doesn't matter.
It's your process. And remember that everyone can't do everything. A lot of people can do, what do they say?
Jack of all
trades, master of none. It's very rare that you'll find a contractor that can do it all. But if you find someone who's really good at kitchens and bathrooms, hire them and then let them go home. If you find someone who's really, fantastic at putting down floors, hire them, get a good price, and send them home.
Yep.
You ultimately are your own master, and you don't have to answer to anyone. For every price given to you, you can find a price somewhere else. Google is your friend, bruh, right? And you can find information, you can find answers, you can move at your own speed. And if you need to fire people and tell them to walk away, you can do that. We learned all of this in that process, and we live to tell the story.
Yeah.
Right? The pride of home ownership.
Pride of home ownership.
You think it's worth it, even after all of that?
Yes, I do.
I do as well.
Yeah, I do.
I do as well. And one other thing, I'll let you finish up. I learned a lot. This is called Marriage for Grown Folks. I learned a lot about my wife. While she became a project manager, she added another column or another line on her resume, right? We're talking about a woman with a master's, education for 17 years. I watched her be a mom, a wife, as well as a project manager. I watched her deal with men all day long, right? Holding her own, 10 toes down for the family, fighting for price, heckling over this. Ultimately, I'll take the trip. She was taking these trips and going to pick up wood.
I was
and
loading doors.
Straight up and down.
to my car.
Matter of fact, and no, don't sell yourself short. Eventually, she just said, for the back unit, she painted the entire house.
Oh,
she just said, I'll do it. She purchased the spray gun, purchased the whatever, did her little YouTube tutorial, and knocked it out. You know what I mean? So I got a chance as a husband to see my wife move into another realm. And that, to me, is sexy. That's sexy, straight up and down. Our kids got to see that their mom can do certain things. My daughter was actually standing next to me when I fired contractor one.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And she was just like, daddy, 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 because she knows her father's a little off, right? But what husband or leader is not off? You got to protect the things that you love and you care about.
Right.
And sometimes you have to be off to do that.
Right.
And I learned a lot about my wife. I learned a lot about the spirit realm, a.k.a. the connectivity to something greater, because we were doing something to take care of our unit. The basic unit of all matter is the family, right? Whatever walks out into the world comes from a family. And the pursuit is worth it. So I ain't no preacher. I ain't here to do that to you guys, but I will say this. If you want to know God and you want to know his heart, do something new. Get married. Buy a home. Go through the process. It will teach you to empathize with God. Mm-hmm. It'll teach you to empathize with God. And if you're newly wed, shout out to Dave and Magdalene, who wanted this episode.
Oh.
You know what I mean? We love y'all.
As y'all move into this,
you're going to find your piece of property, right? And if you need the help, put this on replay or give us a call. But you can get it done. But you control your own destiny when it comes to all of this. From the funding to finding a lender, to trusting your realtor, to remodeling, renovating, hiring, firing, it's all on you, but you can get it done.
Yes.
You got something, ma'am?
I mean, no. I guess the only other thing that I would say is it's okay to be going through the process 3, 4, 5 years later. I don't mean it all at once. I mean it take your time.
Yeah, man.
Take your time. I think one of the things for us was that we were just trying to move so quickly. And because we were trying to move, because we wanted it to be done. And now that we are done, here we are we got contractors coming to do some central air for our home, which is how we had started in the first place, right? And so, and there's still jobs in my head that I want to do around our house because there's always something that you want to do. And so you want to make it better.
Roberto Duran, no mas. No mas.
No, we have
mas.
2 more jobs. I hear you, but we have 2 more jobs.
Please, no.
Easily, outside of the AC stuff. You'll be okay. So anyway, yes, I agree with all of what you're saying. My do you recollect was just going to be, what was the moment that you had decided this was
We're segueing, guys.
Sorry.
We're transitioning out of that
Out of
we're coming down, and we finish with a segment that we call "Do You Recollect?"
Do you recollect?
It's her turn.
Okay, so
do you recollect?
Do you recollect the moment where we were knee deep in the process of the remodel, and you wanted to blink your eyes and say, "No more"? Do you remember the moment?
Absolutely.
What was it for you?
I wouldn't say contractor one. And I can't relive it again because the story's pretty vivid. But when he went to the trunk and I see a gun and I have no idea what happens next, it's not a fear. I ain't no gangster, but I'm from where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not my first time seeing one of those. But either way, I just couldn't come to grips with how this associated itself with purchasing a home. And because I was so confused and conflicted, I was just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll go live in a really nice apartment. After we finish this, let's sell it. So now it becomes a flip.
Yep.
And I considered talking to you about that. Hey, $200,000 later, $200,000 later.
And it's not done.
$200,000
But it's not
later.
done. Yeah.
And I'm not flexing either. I just, either way.
That was the moment for you?
That was the moment for me. What about you?
It was the moment that the second team came in and said uppers were down low. And I was like, I'm going to live in the back. I don't want to do this. Yeah. That was a moment for me because we already had spent that money, not the 2K, or the 200K, but we had already spent the other money. And I was just like, I already don't want to do this. And so we probably should have had a conversation because we could have just flipped it and
been out of it.
Yeah. But we're there. I love it. It still has some things that need to happen, like central air.
We have a monstrous asset.
Yes.
Yep. And this is in this country.
Yeah.
That's the quickest way to wealth. Real estate.
Yeah.
Home ownership. And then if you want to think about it in another capacity, and once we take that equity out, we can make another
So if we
move.
flip it now.
We flip it now. Stop it. You got me thinking. But no, man. First and foremost, thank you. Thank you for getting us through
baby.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I did my best also not to step on your toes as you were the project manager. So I only stepped in when I wanted to protect us and you. But I never distrusted what you were moving on.
Yeah. Thank you.
I never, is distrust a word? I read a lot. I didn't distrust you. I really trusted you. But I thought that I wanted to step in and make sure you were fine and we were fine and we weren't being taken advantage of.
Oh, we were being taken advantage of.
I think every contractor's job is to take advantage of people.
Yeah.
And that's probably not the right thing to say, but that's the way I feel.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, get yourself a home. So anytime I see somebody with a home now, it's almost like thank you for your service. Like when you see somebody, they think, you have a home? God bless you. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
But once again, man, this has been another. Oh, before I get out of here, I wanted to say thank you to our unofficial sponsors, Old Hillside Bourbon Company.
Yes.
All right. Shout out to Courtney Tucker. Love you, brother.
And his crew.
And
Don't
his
forget
crew
the team.
doing what they do. I don't drink whiskey, alcohol, bourbon, beer, any of that stuff, but a lot of people do. And it's a business that my brother started.
Smooth.
It's a business my brother started, and I support him. So if you got something to say about me saying something about alcohol on my podcast, get your own podcast and mind your business.
Got it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all.
We love you.
Yes.
We'll be back. Marriage is for grown folks.
For grown folks.
We out.
Peace.